Hello and welcome to the show with me, Gillian Gottsell. Today, my guest is the president of Liberland, Vit Jedlicka. Vit, thank you so much for coming on my show.
Hey, great to be with you, Gillian.
So, for people who may not know or who may not have heard of Liberland, can you tell me what country you are president of?
Liberland is a small country. It's between Croatia and Serbia. It's 7 square kilometers. It was one of the last remaining pieces of no man's land on this planet that we have claimed in 2015 on behalf of the nation. Initially, we were just 3 or 4 citizens of this country, and then we have grown to quite a big nation by now. We are more than 500,000 or 785,000 people that are registered on our website now.
That is amazing. That is definitely a small country. Now, the actual land itself, it's on the banks of the Danube. As you say, during the collapse of Yugoslavia, this land was sort of left over and nobody claimed it. And I mean, how did you find it? How did you figure out? Because you wanted, I mean, I've heard you speak before and you said, some people think of founding a company. I wanted to found a new country that was not born out of bloodshed or anything like that. It was just, a very smooth transition. So how did you find the land?
That's not difficult. You just Google for no man's land. At the time, we did just that, and we were looking into different legal sources for different strips of land that were also listed on Wikipedia at the time. And we figured out that Liberland has the best legal status and the best geolocation for us to start a new country. So back in 2015, like 1 month before we traveled there, we made a conscious decision to claim this piece of land. And we waited for the birthday of Thomas Jefferson to get it running. So it was the 13th of April, 2015.
And why is Thomas Jefferson so important to you? What are his views that are important to the founding of Liberland?
Well, the whole idea was to spark the spirit of the American Revolution. We really wanted to make a point that the taxes are too high around the world and the liberties are always shrinking, and that there is a need to start a new country in order to defend the personal and economical freedoms of certain groups of people that really enjoy freedom and they want to live in a free society.
So this was back in April 13th, 2015. So it's 8 years old now. What if someone went to Liberland now, what would they see?
Well, Liberland is a pristine piece of land. It's a beautiful place with sandy beaches. I think it's actually one of the most beautiful places on Danube. And that's kind of nice because it is a very virgin land that can be developed into anything that we want to in the future. And just this fact, that people can actually come there for recreation and people are coming camping there. Actually, just as we speak, people are going and camp there, even though it's winter right now. So that has a big potential, and 7 square kilometers is 3 times bigger than Monaco. So we can develop it into mega city if we want it. Of course, there are some challenges. There are some major challenges, geopolitical challenges that Liberland has to overcome. But right now we are in this phase when we are fulfilling our homework. We are organizing the governance of Liberland. We are finalizing the urban development plan of Liberland. We're getting more international allies and getting more diplomatic relations around the world. So we're in this pre-round of getting things together to actually build the physical Liberland at the final stage of this.
So this is going to be really interesting for people watching this and listening to this. So you've created a structure. You actually have like a government and ministers. How did you find those ministers? How did that happen?
Well, over the time with all the 700,000 people that signed up, I was looking for the best people to help me to build Liberland. And I'm very proud of them. We've got actually one representative of British King. We've got advisor to American president. We've got a former US diplomat. We've got a lawyer from the Czech Ministry of Defense. So there's the serious people that are, I think, very important for the starting of something like a new country. You need to have a very good team with a very good experience in these things, and especially former diplomats that are literally lining up in the line in recent days. It's unbelievable how many former diplomats that are coming to Liberland to help over the last month. How many of them are very strong, and not just the people that are in the government, but of course our whole diplomatic team is growing every single day.
So how will you, at the moment, it's under your stewardship, so you have formed it, you're the leader, you're the president. So going forward, how will the country govern itself? What are the plans for that?
the whole idea behind Liberland is that we're building the freest country in the world, and we are using the latest technologies to make it happen. And so we have selected Polkadot-like ecosystem that we are developing into the governance. We want to be the first decentralized, autonomous, decentralized government in the world. And it is so that we have a legitimate claim to piece of land, and at the same time we're going to make a very nice decentralized, basically what we call so-called DAOs, or decentralized autonomous organization, out of the whole government. So we will be running completely transparently. We will be running everything at the speed of light. When I say everything, I mean everything. The whole Congress, Senate, as well as the registries. Imagine, you change the ownership of a land and everything happens in a split of a second, because it is a non-fungible token and so-called NFT. The system of courts and budgeting, for example, everything will be transparently dealt with on blockchain, while all the citizens will have opportunity to run this whole IT infrastructure on their computers at home and actually make money at the same time.
So if you're successful in this, you'll actually do yourself out of a job, will you? Or will you go forward for?
I will keep kind of a steward position within the Senate of Liberland. This
Yes.
is kind of a House of Lords of Liberland. So we have two chambers. One of them is more meritocratic, in a sense that people are becoming merit holders whenever they pay taxes or contribute to Liberland somehow, and that raises their voting power within Liberland, and they can use this to vote people that will be sitting in this executive body in the government of Liberland. And the other is the Senate. It's more of a House of Lords, people that have substantially helped to build Liberland at certain times of its history, and they have more of an oversight role in the whole creation of the country. So they have veto power over certain decisions. Just like the people, majority of people can also veto the decisions by government, but the active role is taken by the government and basically the Congress that forms the government, and that will be voted on actually very frequent basis. Every 3 months there will be elections. People will be able to.
Oh wow, speedy, quite speedy. Then it's kind of like direct democracy, isn't it? When it's so fast.
Yes, so that's the whole idea with Liberland, is that you cannot just come and become prime minister for life and then do nothing. The idea is that it will be very competitive management board of Liberland, and that the whole system of selection. Imagine that you could even take away your support from your congressman at any second, like in a way that you remove the power that he can vote with, because you stop delegating your power to his seat in that Congress. So not just that the elections are every 3 months, which will help us to be able to change the whole government in 3 months, but the whole thing is that any second the voters can decide. Not just they don't support this particular congressman, but they can take away the vote that they delegated to him, and they can use it for direct vote in any decision, which I think is also very cool.
That is very cool. What's the time frame for this to be implemented?
It has been done, and you can already see and audit the code. We're actually getting professional audit right after some key features are finished. I hope by the end of this month, we will actually already start auditing the code and be able to deploy it. So the AlphaNet, the whole system is already working, and we've got the first number of validators that are running the network, and we are looking forward to launch the whole thing for the 13th of April, the anniversary of Liberland.
Oh wow! So then the whole political infrastructure will be launched then, and voting will start. And how many people will be eligible to vote?
That's roughly 1,000 people right now that are the citizens with full voting rights. That means that they're not just citizens, but they also have collected more than 5,000 merits at the same time, which is kind of a regular prerequisite for getting the citizenship. And so in that sense, it's not a big voting pool, but I believe that the number of Liberlanders will grow pretty seriously over the years. And but on the other hand, we also have a limit, because you need to collect 5,000 merits, and there is only 70 million merits available in the whole pool of merits, and that means that we will not be able to have more than 14,000 citizens, voting citizens. We can have endless citizens that will have a limited basically vote. They will only be able to veto decisions, but the active voters, there is only 14,000 into the system. And we believe that the small country like Liberland with 7 square kilometers only needs 14,000 dedicated individuals that are going to guard or govern or secure the future of the country with the election process.
What happens then if people come to Liberland late and want to be an active citizen? If there's 14,000 already set up, can they buy merits, or how does it work?
They will be able to buy merits. They will be more and more expensive over the time. So the whole tokenomics model is quite, I would say, deflationary in that sense, because we're with every single new citizen, the merits are taken away from this pool. And so it will become more and more prestigious to become citizen. But of course, you will be still able to buy merits on open market, but they will simply have a higher value than what they have now.
So I know that you have run a number of architectural competitions with Patrick Schumacher from Zaha Hadid, very famous man. Do you think there will be actual building in Liberland in the future?
Well, that's what we're planning. Of course, it's kind of a cherry on the top. It will be the result of a very good and organized government and very well organized global community, and good diplomatic relations with most of the countries around the world, and a strong support from places like United States. So some things need to, I would say, get ready before all these steps can be taken to start physically building. But I think we're on a very good track. We have already started to build a village right next to Liberland that anybody can visit. It's the Ark village, which is in Serbia, only 4 kilometers away from Liberland on the other side of the river. We take it as a base for our future development of the country itself.
And does Liberland own that land, or is it leased?
No, this is actually, it's still a bit of a complicated situation. It's a 99-year lease, and we're in the final stages of fixing that. So, but there is a very nice place which is already being developed by our community, and I hope it will grow into a beautiful showcase how Liberland could look like in the future as well.
How can you tell me? So Liberland is in the Wikipedia is called a micronation, but it also is called a nation. So can we address those two things? What is a nation? And would you call Liberland a micronation or something else? So
we're definitely not a micronation. We are not founded in somebody's living room, or somebody proclaims their castle into a nation or country. No, we're actually quite big nation, right? If we count everybody, we're probably more than 1 million already somehow signed up or registered, because we had like 300,000 applications for citizenship in the very early days, which we have never been able to process. So I think there is more than 1 million Liberlanders out there that have some sort of affiliation with the country. And we are micro country. That's probably true. Like, the country is small. It's only 7 square kilometers. We are the 3rd smallest country in the world, but definitely not a micronation.
And how would you define a nation then? What unites the citizens of Liberland?
Well, I think the best definition of a nation is a group of people that know how they want to govern themselves. So people that have similar belief how the government should spend money, how it should be organized. And I really like this idea that which was taken from Switzerland, basically, where you also have 4 language groups. But basically, what defines their nation is that they don't trust their politicians, and that is basically their national feeling, or something that creates the Switzerland and has created such a powerful country, because they know basically that the politicians are their biggest enemies in a way. Mm-hmm. And they believe, for example, that the people should have the possibility to veto the decisions by the government. And that was a very important thing that we have also taken from Switzerland. A majority of citizens can get rid of any decisions that the government creates.
Interesting. So tell me then about international diplomacy. How are you advancing that, and what countries and peoples are taking notice of you?
Maybe you have noticed very recently we signed a memorandum of understanding with Malawi, with Ghana. We also signed an agreement with Haiti. We made very important other agreements that I cannot talk about very recently. So we're getting literally one UN country every 1 or 2 months now to make some sort of deal with Liberland. And I'm very excited that our diplomatic team is so strong and that we're building such a great ties around the world. And it's not just these, let's say, African or Caribbean countries that we're working with. We're also having very high-level contacts with some of the superpowers that help us to grow, not completely directly and openly, but we're slowly building up diplomatic relations with them, and I think it's very exciting because that will lead ultimately to the international recognition of Liberland.
And at what point does Liberland, in international terms, become a country, a sovereign nation? What needs to happen for that to happen?
Well, the Montevideo criteria is very clear about the Montevideo conditions, and there is a very nice article written by the Chicago Journal of International Law, which is like 28 pages, which argues that Liberland already fulfills those Montevideo criteria. That we are a regular nation. It's also or a regular country in a sense, but it's also very important to know that this Montevideo criteria directly says that the existence of a state is independent from recognition by other states. So even if we didn't have all these deals, even if Liberland already didn't sign a number of these documents, which are a certain level of diplomatic recognition, we would still be a country because basically if people think there is a country, then there is a country.
That's cool. And tell me, you've other attributes that you've set up already over the last 8 years. There's sports teams, there you've got a flag, you've got a motto, Chamber of Commerce. What to you are the most important things that a nation needs to have in order for it to function as a nation?
They say, I like this Frank Zappa quote that you need to have an airline and soccer field. If you have nuclear weapons, it helps. But Liberland doesn't have nuclear weapons. But on the other hand, we have a great number of researchers. We also have one project which is in a very, I would say, advanced stage of development for nuclear reactors that we are thinking that could be a future diplomatic tool. And yes, we have a soccer team, and we have a Miss Liberland, and we are also brewing beer. All these aspects are happening. Actually, we had, I think, 4 different breweries over the years brewing Liberland beer as a national beer. So that is happening. But of course, the most important thing is that the community itself inside lives. And it's very active, it's making business, and things are happening. And I'm quite excited it's happening like that, and that we do have a great team of people, both as a regular citizens as well as on the governmental level.
How is Liberland funded?
Liberland is funded through donations, people that support Liberland on a voluntary basis. They are basically paying voluntary taxes, that's the whole point. And unlike in other countries, whenever somebody pays taxes, we say thank you, which a normal country also doesn't do. But we also reward people basically with the share of the country. We believe that the citizens should be true shareholders whenever they contribute to the country. So just think about it. Not just that you can decide how much you pay in Liberland, but you are also getting something as a form of benefit whenever you actually do that. I think it's a very important evolutionary step. That this voluntary taxation steps in, that the countries are becoming more of a shareholding entities.
I love the idea of saying thank you for paying your taxes. You're right. No country says thank you for people who pay their taxes.
I think there is 1 or 2 when we did the research, but not many. Yeah.
Okay. I must go and live there. So finally then, just tell me, so this is your 8th year anniversary coming up on April the 13th. What are the plans for the next little while? What major events have you lined up?
The biggest event coming up, that's Davos, which we usually have a strong presence this week. And then there is a Cambridge speech on Saturday at the University of Cambridge, where we are invited together with our justice minister. Then there is a major event in Mexico City. We are opening our representative office on 2nd of February. And it will be a major diplomatic event. It's a beautiful building right in the center in the embassy area. And right after there is Anarchapulco. It's 1 week after, which is probably the biggest gathering of Liberlanders outside of Liberland. And then there are a number of other events, but I would really recommend people to join the anniversary. It will be a great event on 13th of April. This year, and that will be a lot of interesting guests. I hope you have some congressmen again, like we did in past, and some famous libertarians. And
also, you have to also mention the Floating Man Festival.
Of course, the Floating Man Festival is happening in August, and that's the biggest summer festival. It's more of a music festival and basically entertainment and water sports. And it will be a major event, and I hope that we'll be able officially to open the village the Arc Village for visitors, and that we will have some major advancement in terms of settlement of Liberland at the same time. So those two events, I believe, this year will be pretty major, and they will be worth attending.
Brilliant. I was there, was it 2018, the first Floating Mount Festival?
Yeah, we need to have you back.
I have to come back. I have to come back after post-lockdown. So thank you so much, Vit, for your time today. People want to go and find out more. Liberland.org is the best site?
Definitely, that's the best site, and it takes only 5 minutes to become a resident of Liberland, and it's kind of cool because you get your ID card, and you can start doing business also. Brilliant.
Well, thank you so much for your time today. Great success going forward, and looking forward to the anniversary. 8 years old, it's kind of cool, and I'm sure people will go and follow you on Liberland.org and find out more about Liberland. Thank you so much for your time today.
Great to be with you, Gillian. Bye bye.
Thank you.